So, been too long since I did one of these again. Mostly just because real life happened and it was, kind of weird. But, yay, more Yu-Gi-Oh! Alright. How ironic that I actually have some Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards on my desk. Yeah. Although, most of them are from an era that we won't be getting to for quite a while. Anyways, which is ironic that one was the first one. Frickin' Speedroid, Red-Eyed Dice. Nice. Because, this episode. So, Esper Roba, the ESP Duelist. Yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and say this, though this might heckle some people. This is this is easily on my skip list. Like, just this two-parter serves, in my opinion, no purpose. In fact, it causes more problems than it mitigates or solves. Now, why do I say that? Well, simply put, this is an episode where Joey fights another cheater. Now, I want to explain myself on that one because I feel like it's not enough to just say, I'm sick of Joey fighting cheaters and just be done with it. Because I am. I'm completely fucking done with Joey fighting cheaters at this point. But at the same time, okay, I had thought about doing this whole big speech when I had done whatchamacallit, when I had done like before I hit record, actually before I even watched the Japanese version of this episode, I had this whole big speech prepped about comparing Joey's character arc to this series Naruto. Now, the whole point of the speech was not actually had anything to really do with Naruto so much as what Naruto represented. See, Naruto, when it started, was meant to be the ultimate underdog story. That's actually one of the things that launched it into. Well, that, in my opinion, launched it into popular status. Right. The fact of the matter is that Naruto is a series that is all about, again, the underdog. Because what is the big premise of Naruto? A kid who wants to become the leader of his village, right? And I thought about doing, some mild, joking about, it's basically the idea of like saying and having an American character, in a more, more down to earth setting, wanting to become the president of the United States, right? Now, regardless, the point is that he has a lot of obstacles. Naruto in that series had a lot of obstacles to his goal, which was to become the Hokage, the leader of his village. Now, obviously, there's a lot more to the series Naruto than just that, but that is kind of the point. Right? And that's what I feel like should have happened here with Joey. He should have been the underdog. But no, instead we have to make jokes about him being a terrible duelist and have all but like a dozen, all but like all of his opponents either be cheaters or assholes or jackasses that run fucking OTK decks that need to burn in a fucking fire. Shit like that, right? I mean, for God's sakes, I actually went through and I had to pull some massive technicalities to get the number up to 12. And he duels like like 15 to 20 people in the entire show. I had to pull some massive technicalities, or in case you're not understanding my point, some technicalities in order to get it up to that number. And that's if I was not counting the repeat opponents and just counting, the one time they cheat as, well, he fought him as a cheater. And also that was also if me having to pull like technically like not saying that Yugi taking advantage of him giving Joey Time Wizard in season 1 was cheating. I have to call that not cheating. I stand behind that statement though, to be fair. And if and that was also if I gave credit to to uh to a character he duels in season 3 in a shadow game, which originally I was just going to count shadow games as technically cheating because it's like you're basically just pulling cheap shenanigans, right? Because again, it falls under the category of cheap shenanigans, if not outright cheating. So, and honestly, I still feel like the number of opponents that Joey duels that fight him fair and square versus the amount of opponents that cheat is kind of skewed too far into the cheating thing. I mean, this isn't even the last cheater he's going to fight this frickin' season. He's going to be fighting 2 more. And yes, I count the one on the blimp, his fight on the blimp, as his opponent cheating because the counterfeit Raw. Spoilers, you know. And actually, what's funny is that I can even without the shadow game, I can technically count one of his opponents to be a cheater, even without the technically he is the shadow games because of that fucking fucking plot contrivance that is the fucking chant or the hieratic text. If you want to give 4Kids zero credit. Edit. Look, I don't care what form of fucking utter garbage you want to go with, that's still plot contrivance. The hieratic text is just as fucking much plot contrivance, is just as much of a plot contrivance, will be just as much of a plot contrivance, as the fucking hieratic text, as much as the chants. The chants and the hieratic text are both the same level of plot contrivance. But that's something to get into way later when the Winged Dragon Raw is actually freaking used and not in the counterfeit sense. Because yes, that's actually post the counterfeit. But let's not. But again, I'm getting way too far ahead of myself. But that's honestly, the more I thought about this episode, the more that I was sitting here like, I have nothing to fucking say about this episode. Effectively, I am padding out this video by talking about this. I've been going for 9 minutes now. Timer just hit 9 minutes. I've been sitting here for 9 minutes, and it's just rambling because I have nothing to say about this episode. Now, sure, I could talk about Jinzo and how powerful he was in the real card game and yada 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 yada. And admittedly, that is something to consider because I have been talking about that throughout the entirety of these videos, right? I mean, I even talked about it with Shadow Ghoul, for fuck's sakes, right? Shadow Ghoul, Witch of the Black Forest, Sangen. I'm going to be talking, I don't remember if I haven't really, I don't think I brought up the creation of the ban list, but I'm going to be bringing up the creation of the ban list when we meet Yatagarasu over in season 3, either then or when Chaos Emperor Dragon Envoy the End shows up, right? Which is funny because if I choose the latter, that means we're not going to be talking about the ban list at all, like the creation of the ban list at all, until season 5. So It depends on how I'm feeling and how much stuff I have to rant about when it comes to that particular duel. Because yes, it's going to be a rant because as the player who uses Yatagarasu is fucking Noah Kaiba. But let's not get into that. Let's not get into that green-haired shit stain until we get there. Now, keep in mind, I've also been sitting here for the past 10 minutes doing nothing but talking, just shooting the shit at this point. So I'm going to go ahead and finally confront my notes. So, because there is a couple of things I have to talk about within the episode itself, even if I'm not really going to be talking about Jinzo too much. Jinzo was a powerful card, but it wasn't destroy trap cards. It was more, hey, let's just make it so that all the effects of trap cards are negated. He's basically a monster version of Royal Decree. So, yeah. I prefer his anime effect, I'll just be honest. So we start off, and Esper Roba has basically kicked Rex's ass. Cool, yay, because he's cheating. I also had another speech because I guess we do need to. Yeah, I guess I do need to talk about the psychic thing, don't I? All right. You know what? I'm just gonna do this live. Fuck it, because I thought about whether or not I was gonna look up the definition of ESP. So we're gonna do it live on camera. Here we go. ESP. There we go. No, that I don't want the products. I want the fucking concept. So effectively, ESP, according to Wikipedia, is basically all about what you can't sense with your physical senses, right? And there's different types. There's telepathy. There's clairvoyance. And it's intuition. All of that. That's all part of extrasensory perception. Now they mention telepathy briefly, but they basically treat ESP as if it's all mind reading, which as I just demonstrated with that description from Wikipedia, which took me all of 2 seconds, that's not entirely true. The dub keeps pulling this psycho thing too, which, okay, to be fair, I feel like that's a rib on the Japanese name for Jinzo, which is Psycho Shocker Jinzo or Jinzo Psycho Shocker or something like that, right? Psycho Shocker is basically what they call him in the Japanese dialect, Psycho Shocker is what you hear when Jinzo is called out to, basically. Now, I'll just go ahead and say that calling him by the name Jinzo feels more authentic to me to just call him Jinzo, and just have the Psycho Shocker be, more of a title thing. That's just the way I perceive it. But yeah, no. Basically the idea is he claims he can read minds. Telepathy, in other words. Which is funny because I could go into a whole diatribe about how, as I just did with ESP not being strictly telepathy, strictly mind reading, and blah, 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 blah. Because, intuition, clairvoyance, second sight, stuff like that. Right? I'm just going to go ahead and say it. The only 2 characters that I feel like are written properly with the whole telepathy thing in all of fiction, where they call it telepathy and not just, the power of the Millennium Eye, for example, which was the other thing I was going to rant about. Like, are we seriously fucking doing this? We're not even 20 we're like 20 episodes removed from Pegasus, and you're again pulling this same stunt. I don't care if it's fake, and I don't care if it's for 2 episodes. You are retreading the same fucking ground we've already treaded with like very little difference. The only difference this time is that it's actually a fucking fraudulent claim instead of real power. And again, the reason why I spent those 10 minutes of just padding out this video was to get across the point of, oh, by the way, this episode is like literally just pointless, in my opinion. But I digress. We should also talk about Joey's gambler style, because this is where it really comes up. I don't remember, forgive me if I mentioned this before, back with, being stalked by the rare hunters and that, but this is where Joey's gambler style is really cemented. I still disagree with that. I still think you could have had his gambler style be more of a supplement to having more, to have Red Eyes be his power. Have the luck be, the complement to Red Eyes, but have Red Eyes be the powerhouse kind of thing. Kind of like how, Kaiba's got all these powerful monsters, but they kind of complement Blue Eyes, so to speak, right? So for example, Chaos Emperor Dragon is a powerful dragon that can stand alongside Blue Eyes, that kind of thing. But no, we gotta, we gotta basically make it a gambler deck, and it's like, okay. Which is funny because his gambler style isn't actually all that bad in the show. It's all of the supplementary material where you just have to look at it and go, what the fuck are you thinking? Also, like looking at like the writers basically and being and just asking, what the fuck were you guys thinking? Then, speaking of what the fuck were they thinking, the tribute summon gag comes back. Fuck that bullshit. I'm sorry, but I'm sick and tired of this let's treat Joey like a moron thing. And this isn't even the last time they're gonna fucking do that. I have a lot of problems with the Doma arc, but the one piece of credit I will give the Doma arc is that it doesn't treat Joey like he's a moron. It actually makes him a fucking character instead of a fucking punchline, which is what he is in the series. And that's why I hate it. Which is also one of the reasons why I've always hated the gambler style, because I always felt like that was more of a punchline. But again, that's more in supplementary material, right? Which is funny because it's in everything except the show, and admittedly even the manga, where it's a gag, right? I mean, granted, in the Yu-Gi-Oh! R manga, it was somewhat of a gag, but he was still a character in the Yu-Gi-Oh! R manga, you know? Minor spoilers for the Yu-Gi-Oh! R manga, but his duel against Bandit Keith. Future Alex will put the chapter numbers up, but I encourage you, go read that his duel against Bandit Keith in the manga. Not not the one from Duelist Kingdom. I mean the one from Yu-Gi-Oh! R. Because those chapters were poetic as fuck. Including a Time Wizard fail that was more about Keith seeing it coming rather than some bullshit technicality that it's pulled here, right? In other words, the way it fails in season 3, admittedly, but I'm getting ahead of myself. I should probably go ahead and just stick with the Esper Roba stuff and talk about the Serenity stuff after. Well, you know what? No, let's get this Serenity stuff after because I don't even have that much to say about it. So Tristan lies to Serenity about Joey winning. You know, on the one hand, I want to say that this is basically just him trying to get into her pants. And no doubt there is a little bit of that here. You're not going to convince me that there isn't some part of Tristan that absolutely wants to just, crawl into that bed and bang Serenity. Okay, I'm sorry for being gross about it, but being blunt with that grossness. But I'm admitting it's gross for a fucking reason because it is gross. You know, ignore any self-insert fan fiction that I have that I have now that I may or may not have stopped being a writer for now, which by the way, yes, that is actually a thing that has happened. I have my own setting. Steve has his well, okay. It is still Steve's setting technically, but I'm not writing for his side of the setting, if you understand the distinction. Ancient, and my phone has gone off because of course it has. But I think I know why it went off. Oh, nope. We're good. Just that's more of just an FYI. Anyways, I'm way off topic. Where was I? Right. So, yeah, no. Tristan is still in the part of horny teenager mode at this point. He hasn't really gotten to the point where I feel like he actually has a chance with Serenity, like a real chance at a real relationship. That's what I mean by that. Whenever I say, has a chance, that's usually what I mean. A shot at true happiness. Okay? Because well, okay, let me put it to you this way. I'm in my 30s at this point. So that's what I mean when I say has a chance. I don't mean a chance to get into her pants. I mean a chance to make her, for there to be for something real to be there, right? For it to be more than just you're cute, hoot, and I want to be around you and or sleep with you. And I know, and again, that I know I'm trying to say that in a way that sounds like I'm condemning Tristan, but that's because I am trying to condemn Tristan's mentality of I want to bang Serenity because it is gross. One night, I mean, okay, if she consents, then that's whatever. But one, she's in her early teens. She's in her, early to mid teens, whereas Tristan is in his mid to late teens, and on top of that, what are the chances that she's actually been, properly flirted with by boys before? You see the distinction? You see where I'm going with this? Now, the reason why I say, we haven't gotten to the point of him having a chance of a meaningful relationship is because, well, let's be blunt. This is where he finally gets his freaking wake up call of, hey, if you want this to go anywhere at all, even to the one night stand stage, then you need to pull your head out of your ass and tell her the truth. Now, credit where it's due with Serenity's character, they don't pull the hackney cliched bullshit with that. Which is funny because will you piss off phone? I'm not even editing these out, by the way. Hey. Ugh. Anyways, to get back on track. Okay. Fine. Whoa, that almost tipped my switch over. Or because of the positioning. Anyways, sorry. Kind of need my switch to not break on me today. I'm only going to have to make a phone call in 3/4 of an hour and then stream like right after that phone call. Anyways, Anyways. Moving on. Let's talk about... Let's talk about the other... But that is... But anyway, where was it? Right. So Serenity basically finds out that Tristan lies in this two-parter tour. What I like is that in both versions, it's not a "fuck you, you're a liar." Because I gotta be honest with you, I am kind of fucking sick of that. Okay. Now, I'm not saying that a lie can't, get someone to be to the point of they never want to see you again, kind of thing. I've even pointed out certain things that some lies of omission that should actually get it to the point of I never want to see you again, and that was with Duke Devlin, but that's only because I'm sorry, the idea of Duke Devlin being romantically involved with Serenity is frankly stupid to me. And yes, I will even go so far as to say Ryutugi Yugi getting with Shizuka is equally as fucking stupid. Otugi getting with Shizuka is equally as stupid, in my opinion. You know? And no, not just because his name is Ryuji and there are some admittedly kind of things I don't want to get into that are based upon dumb things from my past and, teenage me being a moron. No, not the asshole part or this time. Just me being a moron. Which is a whole other ball game. I don't whole other can of worms I don't want to open right now. So anyways, what I do like is that Serenity basically tells Tristan, "No, I just want to face the truth," and that's her point. None of this bull crap of, you lied to me, therefore you're completely untrustworthy. It's more of just you didn't want me to worry. I understand, but I do want to face the truth. That's a nice touch. It's fitting with Serenity's character. That's all I got to say about it. Moving on. Oh yeah, that's the other part of that with that too. The streaming of the duels. Now, granted, in the early 2000s, streaming was not as what it is today. What it is today is basically just you go to Twitch or YouTube or D Live or I could have sworn there was another one, or Facebook, right? And you stream it, right? Back then, it wasn't as much, and admittedly, it's more of just a database where you can actually see duels play out. And it's more like spectating on Master Duel rather than, for example, on Twitch. If you kind of get the distinction, it's more like spectating a Master Duel rather than, excuse me, rather than anything else, right? Anyways, but yeah, no, it's just a nice little neat thing. Another neat thing that I forgot to mention earlier is Esper Roba actually recognizes Joey as the runner-up of Duelist Kingdom. I'm just pointing it out again because I seriously would prefer. It just keeps hammering my plot point forward. But again, I know Kazuki Takahashi has to railroad Kaiba into the role of fucking asshole. So shrug, which is funny because Kaiba doesn't actually have any kind of an appearance in this episode. Oh, I know what you're gonna bring up, but no, he really doesn't. Outside of that one minor flashback. So anyways, so then they duel. I do feel like the lie of Esperoba's cheating comes in too soon. Admittedly, I don't want the drama of it to be too much, but it feels like it feels like they just immediately, as soon as the duel began, basically revealed that he was a fraud. And I feel like that could have just played out for a couple of turns. Maybe even just have the reveal come with the skull dice reveal. You know, have that be the moment where we're like, oh yeah, okay, this is where we find out where you find out that you confirm that yeah, no, he's a fraud. I just think that would have been paced better, and then you can have Mokuba come in, and then have him be a sucker for the stupid sob story with the bullies and everything, which is just there. Although I will say a nice touch is that Yugi just stays out of that business, and it's basically just a yeah, I think Yugi would. I think Yugi would give them a chance, and then it would be like, okay, hey, but I'm gonna be sitting here and watching, and one more cheating, and then we're done, and then yada yada yada, right? Also, I gotta say, I like the idea that Jinochi basically looks at it and says, oh, never walk away from a challenge and face people that are stronger than you, kind of a thing. And that's the path to being a true duelist. So that's a nice one. uh, then there's graceful dice and skull dice. Okay, so which is how Joey figures out that that Esperoba is full of crap, because the way he's holding his cards, which is funny because that's how Joey explains it in the dub. The way that he was holding his cards, which, funny enough, I can actually demonstrate with cards that are on my desk here. So the way that he was holding his cards effectively was, as I don't know how well this is going to be, but like he's holding his cards, or I should put these like this actually. So he's holding his cards like this, like this, and so he's holding them in a way that where it's like you could tell that that's one of the dice cards because of the art that pops up right there. But the thing is that then, and Joey draws for his turn, and then it's graceful dice. Now they believe that he's basically got two graceful dice, so they tell Esperoba he's drawn a second graceful dice. The problem was that this first one down here was not graceful dice, but skull dice. Now I know those are both Speedroid Red Eye dice, but again, I don't have anything else in front of me, so I guess it'd be more. Basically, the idea being that they like this basically, and then this is the problem. Joey draws graceful dice, but they think this was graceful dice when it was actually skull dice, type of thing, right? And again, I know that's not the thing. Although what would show it off better actually, because it makes sense in the in the sub, but in the dub it makes no sense because they follow the formula of skull dice being a trap card in the dub, because in the real game skull dice is a trap card. So yeah. Anywho, oh yeah, and for the most part it's basically just treated like a trap card from this point on, and at this point. So also, I have to say, the whole idea of only one graceful dice per turn is frankly fucking stupid. Because again, they even explain it in the Japanese version, the loophole that would get it, make it so you can't activate two graceful dice in one turn. It has to be on monsters with 500 or less attack. Why didn't they just go with that? whatever. That also means that the max graceful dice can give you a monster. The highest amount of power graceful dice can make a monster for you is 3,000. That makes perfect sense to me. Why did they have to do the one per turn thing? With something like Monster Reborn, that makes perfect sense. With something like Graceful Dice, especially if we're going by the Japanese version's anime effect, it makes no fucking sense at all. Moving on. So then we get the sob story from the brothers. There's Esper's just trying to protect us from bullies, and I'm like, yeah, okay. I mean, I get it. It makes sense. And Mokuba's solution is the third option. Let's just be blunt. But at the same time, it's still like, oh my fucking god. You know, like, and again, it's a fucking official tournament. Okay? You had to know something like the fucking Battle City Commissioner coming to bust your ass was going to be a possibility. You know? I mean, for fuck's sakes. Seto Kaiba is the Yu-Gi-Oh! World's Tony Stark. Do the fucking math, guys. Come on. And it's not even as if Seto Kaiba is some nobody some nobody from some random rich family nobody's fucking heard of. Like, this guy is like the number 2 guy, even now, at this point in the series, that you think of when you think of Duel Monsters. Anyways. So then mind control is used as a trap. Yep, which, okay. And it can, apparently, according to the Japanese version, mind control the opponent for 2 turns. Wait, what? Now, if it's for 2 end phases, okay, I could at least buy that, but I don't know. Although, I mean, I would have just changed it to... to, if, you know, the monster's still there during your standby phase, you can just tribute summon him on the spot or something. I don't know. So then he activates Amplifier, which is broken AF in the anime. 500 extra attack, and then, oh yes, for every turn that passes, an extra 300 attack. Yikes. Jesus. Which is funny, because we already have an effect that's actually technically more powerful than... that's technically more powerful than Slifer's... sorry, Osiris's effect. Sorry, that was a slip of the tongue. I meant Osiris. Oh my god. Pretty sure that's 2 more videos. We'll get to that when we get in 2 more videos, I'm pretty sure. Moving on. So, then Joey uses Time Wizard. Now, I admit I'm wondering if I was wrong, admittedly, because I was sure that I was unsure of whether or not Time Wizard was going to make an appearance before his season 3 epic fail. I was obviously wrong, and here we are. 1 week later. Anyways, but no, in the interest of fairness, though, I do hate the fucking bulk shit of Jinzo being unaffected. Because it's frankly fucking stupid. It is. Let's just be honest. It's fucking dumb. Moving on. It's not quite Season 1 shenanigans, because that's just immunity to destruction effects, which is still dumb, but there it is. So, whatever. Now, if Raigeki had shown up out of nowhere and fucking destroyed Jinzo, that would have made it a Season 1 shenanigans, in my opinion. But anyways, like I said, we're basically done for the most part with Season 1 shenanigans. For the most part. At the very least, I can kind of hand wave one potential one in a way, but, then there's also other ones that are just, which we're actually going to get to next time with a card that extracts the soul of a monster. But anyways. Which is funny, because I actually don't. That card is more associated in everything else with Yami Bakura rather than who uses it. Uses it in the upcoming the 3-parter we'll be talking about next week. Yep, I think I'm done. That's it. So, Esper Roba loses to Roulette Spider, which is kind of a funny card. I don't know if I have it, and I don't feel like going and digging around my stuff right now. But yeah, no, Roulette Spider is an interesting card. I'm not gonna lie, I don't like this episode now. Okay, I admit I've been going for 40 minutes. But this is a padded 40 minutes. Like, this is the most padded any of my videos have ever been, in my opinion. Because if we were to actually chop out, like, most of the padding, I would easily be able to chop out, like, 20 minutes. That's not even a joke. I could easily chop this down by, like, 20 minutes. I'm not going to, but that's just because I have some, there were a few topics that I wanted to talk about. But that is it for me. I don't know what else I can really say at this point. Right. Other than, yeah, I don't like this episode. I was, like I said, I've been yapping for 40 minutes, but that's because I padded this out. And that's the problem. So I'm sorry for padding this one out, but I wanted to get all of that yapping about, Tristan and Serenity, and and the whole, and I did have to talk about the ESP thing, and I did admittedly have to talk about Joey's Gambler style. So, but that's it for me. Next time, however, well, let's just say let's just say that the second ever waifu of the franchise has finally actually shown up. Unless you, for some creepy reason, think Serenity is waifu material, in which case, third, I guess. Also, what the fuck? Anyways, I'm out. So, see you guys next week for Master of Magicians. And yes, I will be making fun of Dark Energy Disc. Because I have to. See you next time, guys. Blue Wolf Alex of the Lore Walkers signing out. Have a good one. Duel stand by.